Verso 1. The back of a leaf. What is said and what is unsaid. What is written and what is withheld. What is withheld is on the left-hand page. These are left-hand pages. The moment they are written, they will not exist. That is, they will not exist as themselves, as they were first conceived. What is withheld is on the back of the leaf. I have withheld more than I have written. I have restrained more than I have given. I have left unsaid more than I have said. I have withheld much more than I have withheld. Even these 9 left-handed pages have already created their own left-handed pages, as will be seen. I will have added for clarification or withdrawn some detail. I will have parsed the structure of the sentence and the meaning of the sentence and reformulated it to resolve some understanding that was tentative in the first place, but that merely for the sake of agreeing to a rule of syntax, I have to present as certain. Moreover, I will have cleaned out all of my doubt, all of my prevarication, all of my timidity. The left-hand page is a recursive page. Each verso becomes a recto. Each left-handed page generates one right-handed page and an infinite number of left-handed pages. What is withheld multiplies. The left-handed pages accumulate with more speed and intensity than the right-handed pages. They are chronic. That is to say, they are always present, occurring, intrinsic and incurable, unfailing and uneasy, like freight. The freight of withholding, gathered over years, becomes heavier and heavier, indefinite and unbound weight. There are bales of paper on a wharf somewhere, at a port somewhere. There is a clerk inspecting and inspecting them. She is the blue clerk. She is dressed in a blue ink coat. Her right hand is dry, her left hand is dripping. She is expecting a ship. She is preparing for one. Though she is afraid that by the time the ship arrives, the stowage will have overtaken the wharf. The sea off the port is roiling some days, calm some days. Up and down the wharf, she examines the bales, shifts old left-handed pages to the back, making room for the swift, voluminous incoming freight. The clerk looks out sometimes over the roiling sea or over the calm sea, finding the horizon, seeking the transfiguration of the ship. The bales have been piling up for years, yet they look brightly scored, crisp and sharp. They have abilities the clerk is forever curtailing and marshalling. They are stacked deep and high, and the clerk, in her inky garment, weaves in and out of them, checking and rechecking that they do not find their way into the right-hand page. She scrutinizes the manifest hourly, the contents and sequence of loading. She keeps account of cubic meters of senses, perceptions, and resistant facts. No one need be aware of these. No one is likely to understand. Some of these are quite dangerous, and some of them are too delicate and beautiful for the present world. There are green unclassified aphids, for example, living in these papers. The sky over the wharf is a sometime sky. It changes with the moods and the anxieties of the clerk. It is ink blue as her coat, or gray as the sea, or pink as the evening clouds. The sun is like a red wasp that flies in and out of the clerk's ear. It escapes the clerk's flapping arms. The clerk would like a cool moon, but all the weather depends on the left-handed pages. All the acridity in the salt air, all the waft of almonds and seaweed, all the sharp, poisonous odor of time. The left-handed pages swell like dunes some years. It is all the clerk can do to mount them with her theodolite to survey the divergent lines of intention. These dunes would envelop her, as well as the world, if she were not the ink-drenched clerk. Some years, the aridity of the left-hand pages makes the air dusty, parches the hand of the clerk. The dock is then a desert. The bales turn to sand, and the clerk must arrange each grain in the correct order, humidify them with her breath, and wait for the season to pass. And some years, the pages absorb all the water in the ear, becoming like 400-year-old wood, and the dock weeps and creaks, and the clerk's garment sweeps sodden through the bales, and the clerk weeps and wonders why she is here, and when will the ship ever arrive. I am the clerk, overwhelmed by the left-handed page. Each blooming quire contains a thought, selected out of many reams of thoughts and vetted by the clerk, then presented to the author. The clerk replaces the file which has grown to a size unimaginable. I am the author, in charge of the ink-stained clerk pacing the dock. I record the right-hand page. I do nothing, really, because what I do is clean. I forget the bales of paper fastened to the dock, and the weather doesn't bother me. I choose the presentable things, the beautiful things, and I enjoy them sometimes, if not for the clerk. The clerk has the worry and the damp thoughts and the arid thoughts. Now where will I put that new folio? There's no room where it came from. It's withheld so much this time, so much about this and that. Never mind, that will only make it worse. The clerk goes balancing the newly withheld pages across the ink-slippery dock. She throws an eye on the still sea. The weather is concrete today. Her garment is stiff like marl today. Thank you. What is withheld is on the left-hand page. 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 What is withheld is on the left-hand page.
Suppose I were to begin by saying Suppose I were to speak this as though it were a confession. Suppose I shredded my napkin as we spoke. It began slowly, an appreciation, an affinity. Then one day it became more serious. Then, looking into an empty teacup, its bottom stained with thin brown excrement coiled into the shape of a seahorse, it became somehow personal. 2. And so I fell in love with the color. In this case, the color blue. As if falling under a spell I fought to stay under and get out from under in turns. 3. Well, and what of it? A voluntary dilution, you might say. That each blue object could be a kind of burning bush, a secret code meant for a single agent. An X on a map too diffuse ever to be unfolded in entirety, but that contains the knowable universe. How could all the shreds of blue garbage bags stuck in brambles, or the bright blue tarps flapping over every shanty and fish stand in the world, be, in essence, the fingerprints of God? I will try to explain this. 4. I admit that I may have been lonely. I know that loneliness can produce bolts of hot pain, a pain which, if it stays hot enough for long enough, can begin to simulate or to provoke, take your pick, an apprehension of the divine. This ought to arouse our suspicions. enlightenment is the ultimate disappointment. From the mountain, you see the mountain, wrote Emerson. 79. For just because one loves blue does not mean that one wants to spend one's life in a world made of it. Life is a train of moods, like a string of beads, and as we pass through them, they prove to be many colored lenses which paint the world their own hue, and each shows only what lies in its focus, wrote Emerson. To find oneself trapped in any one bead, no matter what its hue, can be deadly. 85. One afternoon in 2006, at a bookstore in Los Angeles, I pick up a book called The Deepest Blue. Having expected a chromatic treatise, I am embarrassed when I see the subtitle, How Women Face and Overcome Depression. I quickly return it to its shelf. 8 months later, I ordered the book online. 86. The implication of the title is that men get blue, but women get the deepest blue. Another form of aggrandizement, to be sure, one which brings to mind a night I spent in an emergency room in Brooklyn years ago. Some mystery ailment, a burning in my lower left side, a woman wailing in the waiting room about having gas from fried chicken, though she looked riddled with crack and sadness, not gas from fried chicken. A young doctor inside asked me to rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. I was flummoxed. I felt as though I shouldn't be there at all. I said 6. He said to the nurse, write down 8, since women always underestimate their pain. Men always say 11, he said. I didn't believe him, but I supposed he might know. 102. contemplate this statement any further. 145. In German, to be blue, blau sein, means to be drunk. Delirium tremens used to be called the Blue Devil, as in My Bitter Hours of Blue Devilism, Burns, 1787. In England, the blue hour is happy hour at the pub. Joan Mitchell, abstract painter of the first order, American expatriate living on Monet's property in France, dedicated chromophile and drunk, possessor of a famously nasty tongue, and creator of arguably my favorite painting of all time, Les BLUETS, which she painted in 1973, the year of my birth, found the green of spring incredibly irritating. She thought it was bad for her work. She would have preferred to live perpetually in the Heure de Bleu. Her dear friend Frank O'Hara understood. "Ah, Daddy, I want to stay drunk many days," he wrote, and did. 152. Holiness and evilness aside, no one could rightly call blue a festive color. You don't go looking for a party in a color that hospitals have used to calm crying infants or sedate the emotionally disturbed. collected enough blue to build a mountain.
I record the right-hand page. 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 I record the right-hand page.
So I fell in love with the color. In this case, the color blue.
I record the right-hand page. I record the right-hand page. I record the right-hand page.
So I fell in love with the color. In this case, the color blue.
I record the right-hand page. I record the right-hand page. I record the right-hand page.
So I fell in love with the color. In this case, the color blue. So I fell in love with the color. In this case, the color blue.